Hello, and welcome to our program, Astronomy for Everyone. We have quite an interesting topic for this month. Our guest to tell us all about it is Sean Pickard. Sean, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again, Don. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. We're glad to have you back. Now, the topic for this month's program is behind the scenes of the Axiom 4 mission. So, before we get into the topic, Sean, tell our viewers how you got involved with launch photography.
It goes all the way back to John McGill, who's the editor for the show. He's been a guest on here multiple times. He invited me to be a cameraman for the show, so then just being involved in doing that, and then John told me, hey, there's this launch happening for Axiom 4. I think this was back in May time, and he forwarded me the information for it so that I could apply to try to get credentialed to go down there for the launch.
Okay, and what was involved with getting credentialed?
It was just fill out this form, kind of, here's my driver's license, yes, I'm a U.S. citizen, which that has other things. If you're a U.S. citizen, you can actually drive behind the gate at Kennedy, which is an interesting experience when the only time you really get behind the gate is you're on a tour bus for the general public.
Okay, but that allowed you to be able to do that.
Yeah, I just had to fill out the form and then just wait to see if I was accepted.
Okay, they did the background check.
Yep, background check. Probably contacted somebody here to say, hey, does Sean actually do anything there? And apparently someone said yes.
Yeah, and so there you go. How long did that whole process take approximately?
It was about, I think, February, March was when I filled it out, and it was a couple months before I got an email just out of the blue. Just, you've been accepted to have credentials to the Axiom 4 mission launch. Keep an eye out. We'll send you an email closer to when the launch is going to happen.
Now, was that invite just for that one launch only?
Yes, just that one launch. I need to wait to see if I get an invite or anything else. I know there's another list that you want to be on, and that's the Space Force's list, and that's the list all the other companies pull from, but I need to actually be able to get on that list. I need to meet somebody in the Space Force, which just missed timing. I haven't been able to do yet.
Oh, okay. Because I think John's
on that list.
Yes, okay.
So John was down there for the Crew 11 launch. He's still down there, but he probably could have gone to a bunch of launches at this point now. There's been a few big ones that happened.
Okay, well, what were the objectives for this mission? I know Axiom is a private company.
Axiom is a private company. They were, for this launch specifically, which was Axiom 4, their 4th launch. It was the first government-sponsored space flight for 3 of the countries that were on here in over 40 years. So that we had India, Poland, Hungary. They hadn't really been to space in 40 years. And so the government was like, hey, we need to send somebody. Did it through Axiom. And it was only the 2nd space flight for any of those countries. First time they'd gone to the ISS.
Oh, great.
Plus there was tons of different scientific studies that they did, just from different countries all over the world. Some of the more fascinating ones of those scientific studies is they had one for 3D printing materials. How does zero gravity and just the extreme harsh environment of space help do anything, affect 3D printed materials? And another one was insulin. So diabetics around the world is what does being in space do for insulin resistance? So thinking of future missions, you can't necessarily say, sorry, you're a diabetic, you have insulin dependencies, you can't go to space. Because, well, eventually you're going to have to.
Right, there's going to be somebody.
Somebody's going to need to. So what does this do?
Okay, sounds like some very interesting projects for them to do on the mission. How long were they up there?
They were scheduled to go for 2 weeks. So here's the astronauts, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce their names. We got Peggy Whitson, that one's an easy one. But
there you go.
The other 3 countries, not going to attempt to pronounce their names. They were scheduled to go up there 2 weeks. Now, if you were keeping up with it, and I'll get into it later on, It was originally supposed to go, and it got pushed over 3 weeks. But they didn't know when they were going to go, so you have to be in quarantine for up to 2 weeks before the mission. So they were in quarantine. Mission keeps getting pushed. They have to stay in quarantine. By the time they finally launched, they would have been back already from the mission because it pushed so far. And Peggy, she was nominated and she was given the honor of induction of the Hall of Fame for astronauts, and it was while she was in seclusion, so she couldn't attend. So they had done it kind of a private ceremony for her and everything. But it's
Okay.
like they played a video, but she couldn't actually be there because she was isolating for the launch.
Well, sure, sure. So getting pushed back and pushed back, was it weather issues, mechanical issues?
It was mechanical issues. We could put up the about the lead up to the launch and everything. So it was back in June when I was first notified when the launch was targeting, and then it went, oh, it's going to be pushed. It was like a Saturday. Yeah, it was a Saturday. Oh no, it's going to be pushed to Monday. So I was just figuring out my timeline of when am I going to get down there. And so it was fly down on, it was Friday, because only Monday through Friday can I go pick up my credentials. Well, if the launch is Sunday, I got to be there beforehand. So it's figuring that, and then it got pushed back to weather, due to weather, to the 11th. And then I was like, okay, and that was Wednesday morning, was the 11th. I'm like, okay, I'll go to sleep early because every day a launch pushes for going to the ISS. It's an instantaneous launch window. They have to launch at this time, but it moves back 22 minutes. 22 minutes earlier, 22 minutes early every day it launches. So it was going to be about 8 a.m. in the morning. So I went to sleep early knowing that I need to be there at Kennedy at about 10 p.m. the night before. Okay, I'll get some sleep early. We got an email at 8:44 that they did a static fire of the launch the night before. There's a LOX leak. It can't launch. So I woke up, saw that, went back to sleep, and they didn't know when they were going to launch at this point. Well, we're going to investigate. Sorry. We have to investigate the LOX leak, figure that out. They figured that out. Then they're like, well, there was a repair in the Russian module a while ago that had a leak out there. We're doing investigating. We probably shouldn't introduce any more variables into our investigation, so we're going to hold off on the leak. So it just kept getting pushed again, and they're like, oh, we're going to try to target this date. Nope. We're going to try to target this date. Nope. Okay. Well, we're going to hold off, and we got an email saying, if you are given 48 hours notice, we'll do our best to give you 48 hours notice. Would you be able to make the launch? So it's like, yep, no problem. I can do that. If you give me that, I'll figure it out. I'll get down there. And originally, I wasn't going to be able to go to the remote camera setup. Select number of people. I wasn't given the opportunity to do it. But because of it pushing so much, they had asked, hey, would you be able to make it for a remote camera launch? Oh, sure. I can get down there for that. And so they said, okay, we'll try to give you 48 hours. I got an email Monday at 1:40 p.m. asking if I could be there at 7 a.m. the next morning for a remote camera launch. So immediately I saw that. I ran upstairs to my wife, who works for an airline company, and I said, what are my options for a flight? And she pulls up all the information and she goes, you can fly Delta. They have a flight going out at 6 p.m. You can get in there at 8. I go, perfect. I'll go get on it. Luckily, I had enough miles saved up, so it was just some fees that I had to pay for, but down I went. And because I had already been down there, I had my bags already packed, ready to go. It was just grab my toothbrush, throw it in the suitcase, head to the airport. As I'm driving to the airport, my wife's booking my hotel. She's booking the car for me. So I get down there and I'm all set up. I get there about midnight, finally to the hotel, sleep, and I'm up at like 5 in the morning, ready to go. And then I had to go, it was like 7 a.m. I had to be there for a remote camera setup.
Well, that kind of worked out. Every time it got pushed back, though, did you come back home and then have to go back down again?
After it got pushed from that Wednesday, I was prepared to go, but I didn't go down there. I was like, okay, until they say this is our launch date, and I was going to wait until like that day before and go down so I could get down there. But it was like it pushed, and it pushed, and it pushed. So I didn't go back down there. But it was a lot of traveling in June. I was down there. I was back up in Michigan. I went to Texas for a weekend. I was back, and then it was sitting there waiting.
Oh my, yeah, you are a well-traveled individual. This has been a really fascinating discussion. We're going to have to take a very quick break. If you have a question, please send us an email, and we'll be back with more of this discussion right after Term of the Month with Stephen.
Thanks, Don. The term of the month is ultra-long period pulsars. Pulsars are magnetized neutron stars with pulse rates from thousandths of a second to 10 seconds. A few pulsars have been found with pulse times lasting from tens of seconds to tens of thousands of seconds, the ultra-long period pulsars. A recent paper discusses formation and how often. While sample size is small, it is in agreement with expectations. One ultra-long period pulsar should be produced in the Milky Way every million years. This diagram shows how ultra-long period pulsars may be created. In Figure 1, there are two main sequence stars in the system. Their orbital separation has to be fairly wide for later steps. One is larger than the other. Each needs to be in a size range. In Figure 2, the larger star explodes, leaving a neutron star. In Figure 3, the smaller star evolves into a supergiant stage. The stellar wind flows into and around the neutron star. The neutron star's magnetic field acts on the stellar wind, slowing its spin. The supergiant is far enough so that the neutron star's gravity doesn't tear it apart. Then in Figure 4, the smaller star explodes. Due to uneven mass, the explosion kicks this new neutron star out of orbit with the sibling. In Figure 5, this leaves the isolated neutron star, which is an ultra-long period pulsar. And that is Term of the Month, ultra-long period pulsars. Back to you, Don.
Thanks, Stephen. We're back with our guest, Sean Pickard, where we're talking about his behind-the-scenes experiences with the Axiom 4 mission. Now, Sean, tell us about your experiences leading up to launch day.
So, as I said in the last time, I got there, it was 7, can I be there at 7 a.m.? So, yeah, I can be there. So it was get in the gates, drive to the press site. So 7 a.m., the international media needed to be at what's nicknamed the PIDS, or the press ID site, which is outside the gate. They took a bus in to the press site. We all met up for the K9 walk through, kind of sniff all your stuff, make sure there's no explosives or anything there. Then we all load on the bus and go to the press site. The first press site we went to is nicknamed the Horseshoe. So that one is about 2,500 feet away from the launch pad. And it's kind of nicknamed because the road behind it, as you can see over there in the lower right, it's like a horseshoe. So we set up inside of that. And as you'll see later on, we had a nice photo bomb of a crane was there, which we were hoping. It's helping to build the new Starship Tower right there. We were hoping it would move, but it didn't. And then the second site, which is you're shooting over mangroves, that one's about 2,000 feet away or so. When the mangroves are trimmed down nice and short, you can get a nice reflection off the water right there, which is pretty cool. I didn't have a camera for that location, so I didn't set up there, but I was still over there, so I knew there's a second area. And it was nice to see it, to see both sides. You don't see them on any of the tours, really. And then for me, when I was set up there at the press site, which is the Launch Complex 39 press site, that's about 3 miles away, which is closer than you can get as the general public. The general public is about 4 miles at the Saturn V site. And it's it's swung over to the left a little bit. So it's a very interesting atmosphere being at the press site. 'Cause at the press site you have the VAB right behind you. So for missions such as Axiom 4, where the booster part comes back to the landing pad, you get the typical double pop of the sonic boom as it's coming in, but it bounces off the VAB. So you hear a
Interesting.
pop, pop, really loud, and then all of a sudden it's like a couple seconds later, pop, pop, as it comes back across to you. So it was cool.
For sure, for sure. Now, tell us about the launch day.
I want to get into the equipment
Oh,
first.
yeah, well, sure, let's do that.
Before we get into that. So I had 2 cameras. I had borrowed stuff from John for that. So I had for the remote site, I had that's the camera on the left there, Canon T6 with it ended up with a 75 to 300 millimeter zoom lens on it. And on top of it was a GoPro Hero 13, so I could take a video of it as well. I didn't know how it would turn out, but we'll see the video later. It turned out pretty nicely. And then it's a MyOps. So that one's from John, and that is a sound or light trigger camera shutter. So the previous day at 7 a.m. I set this thing up out there. It was out there until the launch at 2:31 a.m. So it sits there, the camera basically low power turns itself off. The MyOps sits there and just runs and waits and waits. And as soon as the rocket starts, it triggers the camera to take a picture, so the camera wakes up and starts taking pictures. So, and then the GoPro is set up to just start a few minutes beforehand. The camera gets wrapped in a bag with a little hand warmer to act as a dew heater out there, because you can't go out there and touch the camera before the launch. It just sits there all by itself, staked down to the ground. The other camera was a T7i with John's camera lens, a 200 millimeter f1.8 lens. It's a big lens. It's really nice glass on it. And that's what I had at the press site. So here's the camera, the remote camera all set up. The lens is wrapped, looking at the rocket there, pretty close. Like I said before, it's 2,500 feet away. And you can see the lovely crane that's photobombing that we were hoping to see. So that was me checking the framing of the camera and everything, making sure I liked how it looked. And all I did to get that picture is I just over top of the MyOps and I just clapped. Because that's loud enough if you're really close to it to get it to trigger.
Okay.
So this was pretty cool for just getting it to trigger, and then I just look at the screen and say, yep, I like how that's framed, it's in focus, we're good to go.
So that was your basic equipment setup. So then launch day.
Launch day, so at 8 a.m., I took a nap during the day since it was a late night flight and I knew I was going to be up all night for the launch. Is get to the press site and just drive in through the gate without issues, get there at 8 p.m. At 9:54, they're going to do the crew handover. Then there's some interviews that you could be a part of at 11. Launches at 2:31 in the morning. Then 45 minutes after that, we go board the buses, go pick up our remote cameras, then see if you actually got anything or if you were dewed over or whatnot. And then 4:30, leave on your own. So then you just drive on out.
Okay.
So we had that night. So I show up, pretty clear sky, and I saw the sun was setting right behind the VAB, which is the vehicle assembly building. So that's where the SLS is being assembled now.
Yes, it is.
And the shuttle used to be in there. It's a massive building. I want to say the flag on there, I think it's just the blue part where the stars are, is the size of a regulation basketball field. So it's good size. But
Indeed.
the shuttle's all put in there. But it was really nice when I pulled into the press site and I saw that. I'm like, I'm going to take a picture of that.
Sure.
And then we looked out, and this is the press site lawn. So here's where we're all set up, looking right out at the launch pad. The VABs now would be over my back left shoulder from here, and the landing zone 1 where the booster is going to come is off to the right. So we have the showing the astronauts on the that's the countdown clock right there. So it had a big during the launch had a big thing for the countdown clock. But we had the crew at the astronaut walkout where they've been in seclusion this whole time. They haven't seen their families really face to face. Sure, nowadays we have FaceTime and everything like that. But here's the 4 astronauts seeing dignitaries from their respective countries, seeing their family again, really for the first time in almost a month now, since they had 2 weeks plus 3 weeks of pushing, about 5 weeks of waiting. So you had the crew handoff where they all come out, they get out of buses, they wave, they stand there, they talk, they joke with their families, then they get into some Tesla SUVs, and off they go to the launch pad. And I think after the crew handoff, then it was, we go in and we didn't know what the capsule's name was at this time. It was a brand new Dragon capsule, and the astronauts do survival training, just in case, just the generic, in case the capsule lands in the wilderness, you need to be able to survive.
Sure.
So every time they were doing something swans were always around. So that was their illusion, is it's swan themed. And Peggy didn't reveal the name of the capsule until they were in 0 gravity. And they came out and they said it was Grace. And that was one copy of their 0G indicator. But now it's launch time. Here's the pictures, the same pictures that are between Don and I here. But there's a close-up. The one on the left with the crane is the one from the remote site. The one on the right is from the press site. And in the press site, we had some swag that they usually give out for everyone. So because we had a Polish astronaut, they gave us Astro pierogies, which are freeze-dried pierogies. I got a few of them. John has requested one. And then some stickers as well.
Well, Sean, this has been a really interesting discussion. I'm glad you were able to come in today and tell our viewers all about it. Please visit our club website. And we're going to take a look at the video.
So before the video starts, there is some clicking that you're going to hear. And that is the clicking of other remote cameras around in the area that start clicking. Here we go.
And coming up next with What's Up in the Night Sky is Stephen.
Thanks, Don. What's up in the night sky for September 2025? The sun goes from Leo to Virgo over the month. The equinox is on the 22nd. Now, that's the spring equinox in the southern hemisphere and the autumnal equinox in the northern hemisphere. The equinox is also the day when the day length is changing the fastest, and it will slow down in a sine curve until the next solstice. So the moon phases start with a full moon on the 7th. Third quarter is on the 14th, the new moon is on the 21st, and the first quarter is on the 29th. Thanks to Jay Starble for the images for the moon. Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, and Uranus are shown here on the 1st of September at sunrise. Mercury goes from Leo to Virgo just like the sun does, and it rises about an hour before sunrise to setting at sunset, and you have the rise and set thing going on because Mercury has superior conjunction on the 13th. That's when Mercury is behind the Sun from us. Now, not directly behind the Sun, but pretty close. Then we have Venus, which goes from Cancer to Leo. That's Leo again. Rises from an hour and a half before sunrise to 2 hours before sunrise over the month. Jupiter is in Gemini and rises from 4 to 6 hours before sunrise. So Venus and Jupiter are a little better at the beginning of the month. Then we have Mars, also shown on the 1st of September. And Mars is in Virgo and sets from an hour and a half to an hour after sunset. And so it's better, a little bit better at the beginning of the month. Then we have Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto shown also on the 1st, about 4 hours after sunset. Saturn is in Pisces and goes to Aquarius and is up all night because opposition when Saturn is closest and brightest because it's on a straight line from the Sun through the Earth out to Saturn on the 21st. And then we have Neptune also in opposition, but on the 23rd. So both Saturn and Neptune are up all night. Uranus is in Taurus and rises from 3 hours to an hour after sunset. Pluto, the dwarf planet, is in Capricornus and sets about 4 hours after sunset, which is about local midnight. It's not bad this month. You need a better sky chart than this. It has to go down to dimmer things. You need an 11 or 12-inch telescope and something warm to wear. Ceres is also a dwarf planet. It's in Cetus, and on this screen, it's sort of down and to the left of Neptune and Saturn. Ceres is not naked eye visible. It's about magnitude 8, so you need binoculars. Any binoculars will do, or a telescope. It's near opposition, so it's brighter than usual. This is a good time to see Ceres. And it's highest in the sky about midnight. And so that is what's up in the night sky for September 2025. Remember, we don't charge money for this show, but we may tax your brain.